This is the story of Dani Park, an overweight high school student who is relentlessly bullied by the most feared guy at school, and what happens when his world starts cracking open from every direction at once. From the very first scene, we see exactly Dani's life looks like, and it is brutal. We open inside a school bathroom. Logi, the dominant bully of the school, squatting and smoking. A nearby girl tells him the smoke is settling all over her. Logi stands up, reaches for his last cigarette, and turns his attention towards something far worse than secondhand smoke. Danny parks on his knees. This is the role, not as a student, not as a person, to Logi and his crew. Danny Park is a toy. Logi demands to know why he isn't answering him. Sweat pours down Danny's face, and in the most degrading way possible. He begs to sing. Then Logi tells him act like a pika. A girl nearby tells him to stop. He doesn't stop. He lifts his legs, presses his foot into Danny's face, and exhales cigarette smoke directly at him. Urine rolls down Danny's face from the urinal. Logi leans down and makes himself very clear. If a teacher sees him again, he will kill him. Then he tells Dennis act like a piggy just to finish the moment off. This is the Dennis life every single day. This scene shifts from this classroom. Logi stands casually on his one leg, completely in control of the entire room. Without warning, he pushes a large student in the stomach and turns to Dani, explaining the first punch should always land on the solar plexus. Just like that. Danny grits his teeth and scratches his sore shoulders, drenched in sweat. Loki tells him to stand up. Danny jumps to his feet immediately. The bullies laugh. One of the girls asks if Danny is now his pika. Loki raises eyebrow and says he can demonstrate. Does he? Danny goes pale. He drops all the four on the classroom floor and begging, pretending to be a pika in front of everyone watching. The room erupts in laughter. Every face around him is either mocking him outright or enjoying it in silence. He crawls forward and sinks deeper into himself. It feels like darkness closing in. Then a boy sitting on a desk raises his hand and tells Logi he has a favor to ask. He wants to borrow the pika for something. He explains that today is the 100 days since he and Haiji started dating, and he needs two flowers delivered. Danny might drop open in fear. He is loaded up with flowers on his back. He walks forward, carry them across the school, still sweat while everyone who passes laugh at the sight of him. He makes it all the way to class number 4. Hayaji is lying across the desk. She greets the last sweaty boy who just arrived. Then he pulls himself upright, takes the flower into his hand, and shouts his congratulations for their 100-day anniversary. Then he farts. The girl freezes in horror. Then he turns red. Hayaji stands up and tells him directly to stop this and to never come near her again, because it is embarrassing. Danny stands there flushed and frozen watching her turn away. The scene moves to night. Danny is standing in the middle of his room, dizzy and hungry. There is a ramen on the table. He slaps the table and says he wants it without eggs, because eggs are what made him fat. His mother watches him front behind, quietly and sadly. He is sitting with his back to her, eating when he is asked if he can transfer to another school. His mother asks if he really wants to. Danny smiles and tells her the guys at the school are too smart. His grades are too low. He sticks out too much. It would be better somewhere else. His mother keeps washing the dishes while she answers. She is handling things on her own. That there is no cheaper rent anywhere else, and ask him to forgive her for that. She closes her eyes and tells him softly that if he can change schools, he will distance himself from his friends. Danny's expressions fall the second he heard the word friends. He remembers every face from that school. Logi, the laughter, the bathroom, the urinal. He clenches his fist. He screams that he wants to study, that he doesn't need friends. His mother's mouth drops open in shock. Danny jumps up and says it is not his fault they live in poverty. He punches the wall. He turns and asks his mother what she has ever done for him. The woman goes still. The night Danny is wrapped in a blanket on the floor, trembling and crying quietly. He asks his mother to forgive him. In her room, she sits alone without moving, thinking about every word he said. Morning comes. The sky turns blue. Danny stops and school gate and stares at the arch. He says out loud that he doesn't want to go in. He grips his backpack straps and tells him that now everything starts over again. His hand still hurts from the wall. They walking towards the entrance. He noticed some girls glancing at him and wonder for just a moment if his hands is actually strong enough for something. This is then Logi's face appears in the air and he shouts the through and he shut the thoughts down completely. He freezes when someone calls his name. Logi is sitting on the front step with a friend. He gives Dani 5 seconds to walk over. Dani's run. Then he arrives. Logi looks him up and down, throws his arm around him and tells him to lose a few pounds. Then he orders him to carry everything he prepared for gym class and put it on all Danny's desk. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the school, Danny's mother is sitting in a room of empty chairs in the class. She came here to fight for her son's right to transfer. The school official slides Danny's report card across the table and says no school is currently ready to accept a student with report card like that. He turns away from her. Danny's mother bows her head. She completely alone in this. Back at school, the bullying takes a new form. Logi kicks a ball directly at Danny's face. Danny ducks in the time. Logi's eyes narrow. His crew laughed at him instead. Logi turns to Danny and says dangerously calm. He's already told him that he's already told him do not dodge. He asks if Danny's life isn't precious to him. A football player steps forwards. He swings his legs. He launches the ball with full force. Danny ducks. The ball spirals high into the air, then curves back down and rockets directly into Danny's face. It connects. Blood comes from his nose. The glasses shatters. And the moment what he feels more than the pain is the humiliation. Even the broke glasses are secondary. The football player celebrates pulling his shirts over his head. Logi squints. He lost a bet. Danny, bleeding from his nose, slaps himself in the face and announces that he is done. Hugging the guy, Logi grabs his again. Danny, somewhere between joking and crying, says it is because of Logi that he's lost. He holds his palm out towards Logi's face. Logi starts hitting him, slap after slap. He asks Dani if he really dedicated to feel sorry to himself. Dani can barely say. The crowd watches and does nothing. Then a woman comes running from across the schoolyard. His mother, she's waving, she's angry for the first time near her son. She's not holding it in. Her face is twisted with fury. She runs past everyone screaming and asking her son if he is okay. Dennis goes rigged. Logi freezes too. This woman storms up to Logi and demands to know why he's beating her son. She starts hitting him. She scolds him asshole and tells him it is not a game. Dani looks away in shame. The girls is standing in the shadow pull out their phone and say they should pause this online. Dani's face burns red. He grabs Logi, not out of anger at Logi, out of shame about his mother, about himself, about all of it. And that is where this part of story lands. Dani Park, the boy whose grades disqualify him from any escape, whose mother just stood up swinging in front of the entire school, and whose bully still controls every room he's walked into. This story has made one thing very clear. Dani is not at the bottom because he is unlucky. He's at the bottom because nobody in his life has taught him how to climb. The question of the story building towards, it's not whether Dani can survive this. It is what it will actually takes for him to stop surviving and family start fighting back. That the answer coming. And it's changed everything.